The sun was setting over the small village of Amiro, painting the mud huts and palm trees in a soft orange glow. In one corner of the village sat a boy named Oba, alone on a wooden stool, tapping gently on an old drum that looked too tired for music. The skin of the drum was cracked, the wood rough, and many in the village had laughed that it was only good for firewood. Oba was an orphan. His father had been a drummer before he died, a man who said that every rhythm carried a spirit. His mother followed soon after, leaving Oba with nothing but the battered drum. While other children played in the square or fetched water, Oba sat by himself, drumming softly, as if talking to the evening breeze. The villagers did not understand him. "Look at him," old Mama Ifioma would say, shaking her head. "Instead of working on the farm, he's wasting time with that useless drum." Even the young boys mocked him. They would pass by, clapping and laughing, imitating his weak rhythms. But Oba did not fight back. He would just lower his head and keep drumming, his small hands tapping patterns only he seemed to understand. At night, Oba sat by the fire outside his hut, his drum on his lap. The rhythm he played was soft, like a lullaby. Sometimes, if one listened carefully, it almost sounded as though the wind itself joined in, humming along with the boy. In those moments, Oba felt close to his father. As if the old man's spirit was still guiding his hands. One evening, as Oba drummed under the moonlight, something strange happened. The cracked skin of the drum gave off a faint glow, as if light was hidden inside the wood. The boy froze, staring. His heart raced. He struck it again, another glow. This time the rhythm seemed to breathe, moving like water across the ground. The small fire near his hut flickered brighter, almost dancing to his beat. Oba gasped, dropping the drum in fear. He looked around, but no one had seen. His hands trembled. Could it be true? Was this the gift his father once spoke of? Or was his mind playing tricks on him? That night, Oba could not sleep. He lay on his mat, staring at the roof of his hut, his heart pounding with both fear and hope. For the first time, he wondered if his broken drum carried a secret only he could unlock. The rains did not come. For weeks, the sky above Amiro village remained hard and empty, like a giant clay pot turned upside down. The river that once gurgled with laughter grew silent, shrinking into a thin stream where children could no longer swim. The yam farms dried, their leaves curling and breaking like brittle paper. Women walked farther and farther with clay pots on their heads, searching for water, while the men shook their heads in fear of hunger. The village chief, Odigo, sat with the elders under the big Iroko tree. Their faces were heavy with worry. "This drought is not ordinary," Odigo said. "The gods must be angry." The elders nodded. Sacrifices were offered, goats, chickens, even a fat cow, but still, the sky refused to open. The ground cracked deeper, and children cried at night from thirst. In the middle of this suffering, Oba kept to himself with his old drum. But he noticed something strange. Each time he drummed softly in the night, the small patch of grass behind his hut remained green, even while the rest of the village turned brown. He watched in silence, his heart beating fast. Was it possible that his drum carried a secret that could save everyone, but fear held him back? What if they laugh again? He thought. What if they say I'm cursed? So Oba kept quiet, drumming only in secret. One afternoon, as the sun burned mercilessly, the villagers gathered in the square. A little boy had fainted from hunger, and the people shouted at the chief to do something. Desperation filled the air like smoke. Then, from the corner, someone sneered, "Where is that useless orphan with his broken drum? Maybe he should drum water out of the sky." The crowd laughed bitterly. Oba's heart sank, but deep inside, the word sparked a thought. What if the drum really could call the rain? He remembered the glow, the way fire had danced to his beat. His father's voice echoed in his memory, "The drum speaks only through the heart of its player." That night, when the village slept, Oba carried his drum to the riverbank, now just a bed of dry stones. He sat down, tears in his eyes, and began to play. The rhythm was soft at first, filled with sorrow, then stronger, carrying his pain and the cries of the people. The sound rose into the still air, echoing across the cracked land, and then, something stirred. A cool breeze swept over him, bending the grass. The dry stones of the river shivered. Oba stopped in fear, staring at the sky. For a moment, he thought he saw a dark cloud forming far away. The whole of Amiro village could not rest after the strange night. Some said they had felt a cool breeze, others swore they heard drumming though no festival was happening. A few even claimed they saw clouds gathering only to vanish again. Everywhere people whispered one name, Oba, the orphan with the drum. At first, Oba stayed inside his small mud hut, holding the drum close to his chest. His heart was beating faster than a festival rhythm. He had only wanted to play quietly by the river, but now the whole village was talking about him. Some said he was cursed, others said he carried a dangerous power. His young mind was filled with fear. By midday, the town crier's gong echoed through the dusty paths. Oba, son of Okonkwo, the elders summon you to the council. The boy's hands grew cold. Children followed him, chanting mockingly, while some women shook their heads in pity. Step by step, Oba dragged himself to the square. The council sat under the shade of the giant Iroko tree. The chief, an old man with eagle eyes, sat at the center. Around him were the gray-haired elders, their walking sticks planted firmly on the ground. The villagers gathered behind, forming a tight circle. The air was heavy, like the moments before rainfall. Oba, the chief began in a deep voice, "We have heard things about you. The people say your drum spoke in the night. They say the wind carried your music. Is it true?" Oba's lips trembled. "I only played by the river, Baba. I did not mean harm." One elder spat on the ground. "Drums are for festivals, not for spirits. A child who wakes the night with music may be calling powers we do not understand." Another elder shook his head slowly. "But what if it is a sign? Did his father not die leaving him only that drum? Perhaps the gods left a gift in his hands." The argument grew. Some villagers shouted that Oba should be punished before he brought disaster. Others whispered that perhaps he was chosen for something greater. Through it all, Oba stood like a small tree beaten by the wind, his drum clutched tightly against his chest. Finally, the chief raised his staff, silencing everyone. His voice cut through the air. "Listen well, Oba. If the drum is truly a gift, it will bring life. But if it is a curse, it will destroy us all. From today, play only when the council commands you. Do you understand?" Oba nodded weakly, though fear still burned in his heart. He did not know if his father's drum carried blessing or curse, but deep inside, he felt destiny calling louder than fear. The days that followed were heavy for Oba. The chief's warning echoed in his ears like thunder, "Play only when the council commands you." Each time he touched the drum, his hands trembled. Yet, deep inside, he felt the drum calling, as if it carried a heartbeat that matched his own. But peace did not last in Amiro village. One morning, as the sun was climbing, a messenger came running into the square, his chest heaving. "Strangers! Strangers are coming!" he shouted. From the far side of the hills, raiders had been spotted, men armed with spears and bows, burning villages as they advanced. Fear spread like wildfire. Mothers clutched their children. Farmers abandoned the fields. The council gathered quickly under the Iroko tree. Their voices shook with worry. "We have no army strong enough," one elder said. "The warriors are too few." Another added, "The people's hearts are already weak from fear. If we do not act, Amiro will fall." Then, as if moved by unseen hands, all eyes turned to Oba, who sat quietly at the edge of the crowd. His drum rested beside him. The murmurs began, "The boy. Maybe his drum can save us." The chief raised his staff. "Oba, step forward." The boy's legs shook as he obeyed. His wide eyes met the chief's piercing gaze. "We warned you," the chief said slowly, "but now we have no choice. You must play your drum. Play, and if your gift is true, let it strengthen the hearts of our warriors. If it fails, we shall know it is a curse." The square went silent. Even the birds in the trees seemed to pause. Oba's hands trembled as he lifted the drum, its polished wood glinting under the sun. He closed his eyes, hearing his father's voice deep in his memory. "A drum can speak to the spirit of men, if only the drummer believes." His palms struck the skin gently at first, dum, dum, dum. The sound rolled softly, like footsteps approaching. Then louder, dum, 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 until the whole square vibrated. The rhythm carried through the air, strong and steady, like a marching heartbeat. The villagers gasped as a strange energy filled them. Warriors straightened their backs. Children stopped crying. Even the elders felt courage rising in their bones. The drum spoke of strength, of unity, of fire that would not be quenched. Men who had been trembling a moment ago now lifted their spears and shouted, "We will fight. We will defend Amuro." Oba's eyes opened, shining with tears. For the first time, he understood his drum was not just wood and skin. It was a bridge between fear and courage, between weakness and hidden power. When he stopped, the square erupted in cheers, but the chief lifted his hand for silence. His voice was solemn. "The trial has only begun. If your drum can guide us in battle, then truly, it is a gift. But remember, Oba, power is like fire, it can warm, or it can burn." Oba bowed his head, his chest heavy with both pride and fear. Destiny was no longer whispering. It was calling him loudly. The sun had not fully risen when the alarm spread through Amuro village like wildfire. A thin line of dust rose in the distance. The raiders were coming. Their cries echoed from the hills, sharp and cruel, carried by the morning wind. Mothers pulled their children closer, and men tightened their grips on spears that suddenly felt too weak. Fear lay heavy on every face. The chief stood tall in the village square, his staff firm on the ground. "Today, Amuro will either stand or fall," he declared, his deep voice trembling only slightly. Around him, the elders muttered prayers, while the young warriors shifted nervously. They were few, their shields worn, their courage fragile. Oba stood apart, his drum tied across his shoulders. His heart beat faster than the drum itself. He had never faced raiders, never fought in a battle. Yet, the chief's command still echoed in his ears, "If your gift is true, let it save us." His small hands trembled as he touched the wooden rim. The raiders appeared soon after, men painted in ash, carrying swords and shields, shouting to terrify. The villagers gasped, and some began to step backward. That was when Oba lifted the drumstick. The first sound was soft, dum, 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 but steady, like a heartbeat. Heads turned. Warriors paused. The sound grew, rolling like thunder. Dum dum dum. Dum dum dum. It was no ordinary drumming. The rhythm carried strength, traveling into every chest. The warriors of Amuro straightened their backs. Their fear gave way to fire in their eyes. Even the weakest among them gripped their spears tightly, ready to fight. The women began to chant behind the warriors, their voices rising with the drum. Children clapped, forgetting their tears. The whole village became one heartbeat, one sound, one spirit. The raiders charged, expecting to see villagers scatter. Instead, the people of Amuro rode back with courage they had never known. Spears met shields, dust rose, and the battle began. Through it all, Oba's drumming never stopped. His arms ached, sweat poured down his face, but the rhythm grew stronger, faster, sharper. Each beat carried courage, each sound gave strength. The raiders, shocked by the sudden bravery, faltered. Their fear grew as they faced a people united by one boy's drum. Step by step, Amuro pushed them back, until the hills swallowed the raiders once more. When silence finally fell, the chief raised his staff high. "It is not we who saved Amiro," he said, pointing to Oba. "It is the gift of the drum." Oba, still panting, looked around at faces filled with pride, tears, and gratitude. For the first time, he felt not like an orphan, but like the heartbeat of his people. The village of Amiro had never known such peace. The memory of the raiders' defeat lived fresh in every heart, and whenever people spoke of that day, they mentioned not the warriors, nor the spears, but the boy with the drum. Oba, children now ran through the dusty paths singing songs about him, Oba the drummer, Oba the brave. Mothers told their little ones at night that even the smallest person could carry the biggest gift. Elders nodded whenever his name was mentioned, their wrinkled faces shining with respect, but Oba himself struggled to believe it was all real. He was still the same orphan who once sat alone by the river, staring at his reflection, wondering why life had been so hard. Only now, his drum was no longer just wood and skin. It had become the heartbeat of Amiro. One evening, the chief called a great gathering. Torches burned around the square, casting golden light on eager faces. The people whispered as Oba was summoned forward. He walked slowly, his drum tied across his shoulders, his bare feet pressing the cool earth. The chief raised his staff high. "This boy," he declared, "was once without father or mother, mocked by many, forgotten by some. But his gift saved us when our strength failed. Today, he is no longer just a boy. Today, Oba is the guardian drummer of Amiro." A loud cheer shook the square. Women ululated, men raised their spears, and children clapped with joy. Tears stung Oba's eyes, but he held his head high. For the first time, he felt seen, not for his pain, but for his power. As years passed, Oba's drum was more than music. He used it to call people to plant together during the farming season, to unite them for festivals, and to warn them when danger was near. Whenever the sound rang through the hills, the people of Amiro felt safe, for they knew their drummer was watching. One day, an elder pulled Oba aside and whispered, "Never forget, child, your gift is not for pride but for service. A drumbeat is not for the drummer, it is for the people who hear it." Oba nodded, those words sinking deep into his heart. From then on, he drummed not to prove himself, but to keep his people together, and so, the story of the orphan boy who became the village's heartbeat was told for generations. Long after his hands grew old and weak, children still beat drums in his name. And each sound carried the same truth: rejection cannot silence destiny, and weakness can hide the greatest strength. Oba, the drummer, had given more than music. He had given Amiro a legacy.